delighted to endorse and support Joe Biden for president.
Throwing support, two candidates are out in less than a day. And now the race is boiling down to what could be the ultimate Democratic showdown. Tonight is Super Tuesday shakeup, less than 12 hours to go before voters head to the polls in the Democratic primary.
Just in the past 24 hours, two candidates dropped out and threw their support behind Joe Biden in what appears to be a last-ditch effort by moderate Democrats to strike back against Bernie Sanders.
Biden just held two events in Dallas, Texas. Both Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg appeared at separate events, all with a plan to endorse him.
14 states vote tomorrow, and the first polls open in less than 8 hours. So the question tonight, can a coalition of Biden, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar voters beat the Sanders movement?
Our team is in place across the country tonight covering the Super Tuesday shakeup and what could happen tomorrow. News 4's Andrew Siff in Massachusetts tonight. But first, News 4's Melissa Russo in Virginia with an update there. Melissa, what a wild past 24 hours.
It sure has been, Stefan. And here in these Virginia suburbs, Democrats are watching the departures from this presidential primary very closely. Some are finding themselves forced to pick a new candidate on the eve of this critical vote.
I cannot think of a better way to end my campaign than joining his.
Rivals no more. In Dallas tonight, Joe Biden was emotional as he picked up the endorsements of Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg.
I'm looking for a president who will draw out what is best in each of us. And I'm encouraging everybody who is part of my campaign to join me because we have found that leader in Vice President, soon-to-be President, Joe Biden.
Ever since Biden proved he could win a broad cross-section of voters in South Carolina, many Democrats are anxious to consolidate support for Biden before Super Tuesday and stop Bernie Sanders.
We've got to beat Donald Trump and the Republican Party, but we can't become like them. We can't become like them. We've got to heal the divisions.
Many suburban Virginia voters are worried that Sanders will derail the race against Trump.
I'm so broken about this. Principles and values-wise, I would be more Sanders. I'm unfortunately thinking I'm going to switch over to Biden because I think he's got that backbone.
Bernie has to drop out.
Bernie has to drop out?
I think so, because he's tried this before and he hasn't gotten any more points this time in the last election, in the last primary than the last time.
Starting tomorrow, there's a new moderate Democrat on the ballot here.
I haven't even faced the voters once at a national level.
Mike Bloomberg is not only staying in the race now. During a town hall tonight, he was talking about taking his campaign all the way to a brokered convention in July.
The rules say that you can swap votes or make deals. Then you can swap votes and make deals. And if you don't like those rules, don't play.
Bloomberg supporters today are demanding the democratic process play out.
I don't care what anybody else says. This is the man that can do it.
One woman that I met today was feeling frustrated because she already voted early for Mayor Pete, casting an affidavit ballot for him, and she's not taking Pete Buttigieg's advice to back Biden. Instead, she told me she's going with Bloomberg. Live in Reston, Virginia tonight, Melissa Russo, News 4 New York.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Now let's get to News 4's Andrew Siff, who is in Massachusetts, one of several New England states that Bernie Sanders is hoping to win. So, Andrew, how is Sanders striking back tonight?
Well, first of all, he'll be heading home to Vermont, nearby, where he'll be voting tomorrow and holding what he's terming a victory rally. Also, Maine and Massachusetts, part of this big New England block of states that's voting. And Sanders' message to the supporters of his former rivals who have dropped out, maybe back him instead.
To all of Amy and Pete's millions of supporters, the door is open. Come on in.
Bernie Sanders in St. Paul, Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar's home state, rallying his supporters against the newly emboldened Democratic establishment and trying to convince those who had backed the moderate wing of the party to now back him and not Joe Biden.
I know that there are political differences, but I also know that virtually all of Amy's support and Pete's support understand that we have got to move toward a government which believes in justice, not greed.
Sanders is banking on a win in multiple places on Super Tuesday, including one of the states he rallied the last few days, Massachusetts, even though that's Elizabeth Warren's home state. Sanders has struck a chord here, says Amherst College professor Austin Sareth.
3 reasons. One is he comes across as authentic. Second, he comes across as unusual. And third, he comes across as radical.
His message has resonated with some first-time voters.
I'm only 20 years old, so this was the first election that I voted in, and I was really excited to.
But in California, Elizabeth Warren, who has defied the odds before, remains a challenger that hasn't given up, despite the outcome of the early primaries.
You know, I'm out there fighting for every possible delegate I can get.
Interesting strategy from Elizabeth Warren. Much like Mike Bloomberg, oddly enough, she knows that if Biden and Sanders end up with essentially equal numbers of delegates, we could be headed for a brokered convention in which everyone with delegates has a say in who becomes the nominee. We're live in Northampton, Massachusetts. Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
Andrew, thank you. President Trump had a lot to say about the Democratic candidates tonight at a rally in Charlotte, North Carolina. He included comments that seem to imply that Joe Biden is too old to be president.
As for Sleepy Joe, he doesn't even know where he is, what he's doing, or what office he's running for.
In fact, Biden is just 3.5 years older than President Trump. The president also calling the Buttigieg and Klobuchar endorsements for Biden a quid pro quo. News 4 has you covered for Super Tuesday. Both Melissa and Andrew will be with the candidates tomorrow as voters cast their ballots in 14 states. It is Super Tuesday. Look for their live reports right here on News 4.